welcome back to my channel and welcome to my 6-week pregnancy update. I am currently 7 weeks and 1 day pregnant, so this will be going over the 6th week, otherwise known as the week that all the symptoms slapped me in the face, because I have been saying that I wasn't feeling any symptoms, and it was worrying me some because with James and with my January loss, I had a lot of symptoms in my 5th week. With James, it started in my 4th week, so I was a little worried that I wasn't feeling much. Combined with the spotting that I experienced last week, I was very nervous going into my ultrasound, which was on Monday. And that was the very beginning of my week 6. I think I was 6 weeks, 2 days. 6 weeks on the dot, I woke up and I had my first day of feeling like, holy moly, I am pregnant feeling. I felt nauseous. I was craving breakfast foods really, really strongly, and I was exhausted. So I napped for about 5 hours in the afternoon, and then I woke up and had French toast and bacon for dinner, and then I felt really sick afterwards. And then the next day, 6 weeks, 1 day, I woke up and the same thing happened again. I was exhausted, I slept for 5 hours, and then I had pancakes and bacon, and then I felt sick. It was so weird. Both days were just very, very pregnant feeling days. And it hasn't been like that every day since, but those 2 days, like, it was crazy. So then on Monday, it was my very first ultrasound, and I woke up that morning and I was so scared that I cried so many times that morning. I cried that morning. I cried in the waiting room of the doctor's office. I cried on the way to the doctor. I cried as soon as the doctor walked in the room, and then I cried as soon as he told me what he could see in there, because I have just been so traumatized by my experiences, my last 3 pregnancies, but really mostly my last 2 pregnancies. And I have been feeling really good in general, very peaceful feeling about this pregnancy. I don't have those feelings of doom and gloom like I did with my last 2, where I just knew something was wrong. And having had those 2 weekend days of feeling very pregnant did make me feel a little bit better. As much as I don't like feeling sick or super tired, I did feel a little bit better that I had symptoms. But oh my gosh, I woke up that Monday and I was just scared out of my mind that my bubble was going to be burst and that something was going to be wrong, and it was going to be the end of my happiness for this pregnancy. So like I said, I cried pretty much all morning, and then when the doctor walked in the room, I started crying, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I don't know, I'm so scared." And he was like, "Well, I mean, I understand, like, we've been through a lot," because he was my doctor for both my 2 like intense miscarriages. So he did the ultrasound. It was an internal ultrasound, and the way they do it at this clinic, and maybe all clinics, is they look first, like you can't see the screen, and then after they know what they're looking at, then you can see what's going on. They'll turn the screen towards you. So he was looking, and with my ectopic pregnancy, he looked a lot before saying anything, because, you know, there wasn't anything to see. It was a pregnancy of unknown location for a long time, and then we finally did find it in the tube, which wasn't good news. And so I was kind of expecting him to like look at it for a little while before turning the screen to me, but he literally put the probe in, and not even 3 seconds had gone by when he turned the screen to me, and he was like, "There's a flicker," which means like the start of a heartbeat. Going into this ultrasound, I told myself that as long as the gestational sac and the yolk sac looked nice and healthy, I would be okay even if there wasn't a heartbeat yet, because the heartbeat is usually seen sometime in the 6th week. But because I was at the very beginning of the 6th week, I didn't want to work myself up to be like, if I don't see a heartbeat, that means this pregnancy is doomed, because that's just not true. I was trying not to put unrealistic expectations on myself, but in the back of my mind, I was also like, by this point with James, I had seen a heartbeat, and by this point with my January loss, I hadn't seen a heartbeat. So there was that little bit in my mind where I was like, if I don't see one, I'm probably gonna worry about it. And so the relief that I felt in that moment when he turned the screen and I could see the little flicker, I started sobbing. I could not even compose myself enough to ask questions, because I was just so emotional over the fact that this baby was not ectopic and had a heartbeat and was measuring on track, and I just felt so lucky. It was a super quick ultrasound. It was just a placement ultrasound because I have a history of ectopic, so he didn't measure the heartbeat or anything like that. It was just to make sure that it was in my uterus, and the fact that we could see what looked to be a perfect yolk sac in a flicker was the cherry on top of what ended up being a really good ultrasound appointment. I felt so good after that. I came home, I felt pretty good the rest of the day. I haven't had any more bleeding or spotting since that one day in the 5th week. He did find a subchorionic hemorrhage in my ultrasound, and so that is what it was, because I wasn't sure. With James, I had a subchorionic hemorrhage, but it was so much more blood that it honestly didn't seem like it was even the same thing, but apparently it was. So I go back at the beginning of my 7th week, which actually in real time is actually tomorrow. So I'm really excited about that, to check on the baby again. I think this one is a little bit more in depth, where they'll actually, I think, measure the heartbeat and all of that kind of stuff. The baby's a little bit bigger. You can see them a little bit better a week later. They grow so fast in the beginning. It's crazy how much 1 week can make a difference in ultrasounds. Symptom-wise, like I said, they did kick in this week. I have been feeling nauseous pretty much every day in the afternoon after lunch. I have been tired on some days, but not all days. It's definitely not my main symptom. I would say my main symptom so far is the nausea, because that is something that has been happening every day this week, but some days are worse than others. Overall, I don't think my symptoms are as strong as they were with my January loss or with James, but the fact that I'm having them at all does make me feel a little bit more confident. Also, my boobs hurt really, really badly, so that started up this week as well. So this week has definitely hit me. Like, everything feels more real. I think seeing the ultrasound made it more real. So that is everything I have for week 6. I'm so excited tomorrow to go and get another ultrasound and just make sure everything is still good. But so far, so good. So I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.